Hello, this next poem is about a fella who takes his girlfriend on holiday and he's going to propose to her, but everything goes wrong. I call it a very close shave. And it goes like this. I love my Kim and I think she loves me. So booked as a holiday, we're going to Miami. I bought the ring and I'm gonna propose. Wish me luck and we'll see how it goes. The day Julie arrived and we boarded the plane, there was no expense spared, I ordered champagne. Caviar and foie gras, we tasted a lot, but the oysters looked sloppy, so we thought we'd better not. When we arrived in Miami, we were shown to our room. The flowers were there and an array of perfume. It wasn't long before we had our first little grumble. We lay on our beds as our belly started to rumble. Kim was up early next morning. She went out onto the veranda. She seemed transfixed, having a good gander. What are you looking at? I asked out aloud. Well, there are all these people exercising. They're drawing quite a crowd. She asked, can we go down so we can get a much closer view? And if we are quick, we can get to the front of the queue. I hardly said yes when Kim was off with great haste, applying her mascara and lip gloss and some kind of paste. It was not what I expected when I arrived down at the scene. All these posers were posing and starting to preen. Lifting weights and flexing muscles. He reminded me of Claude Van Damme, you know, that guy from Brussels. All these women started shouting for more, and I'm sure I heard Kim let out a bit of a whoa. She was pursing her lips and her eyes started to roll. It was then that I realised I was losing control. I had to do something to get back her attention. I decided it was time for me to pop the question. I got down on one knee right there on the beach and I started to recite my well-rehearsed speech. But before I could get going, I was rudely interrupted. A voice from behind suddenly erupted. Hello, young lady, you look very nice. Don't marry this wimp, was the unwelcome advice. I turned around quickly and my heart suddenly sunk. Standing before me was this 6'3" hunk. He was oiled and tanned, a picture of health. To tell you the truth, I half fancied him myself. His legs were like tree trunks, his arms were the same. Towering over me, he put my body to shame. He had triceps and biceps and an eagle tattooed it right here on his breast. All I had was a lonely grey hair sprouting out of my chest. Sensing my fear, he started to sneer and call me things in his American drawl. Kim started laughing. I felt very small. I pushed him and I shoved him as I was feeling much bolder. Big mistake. He picked me up and threw me over his shoulder. The ring took flight as I fell to the ground. I searched all around, but it could not be found. He took Kim by the hand. There were no second thoughts. Him with his six-pack, or me with me warts. I shouted, I pleaded, I continued to beg, as Kim patted his bum and started caressing his leg. The next day, all alone, I boarded my plane. I was determined when I get home, I'm starting to train. 6 months later, I was a very much changed man. I had muscles on muscles, having stuck to my plan. My body was fabulous, it was all waxed and tanned. Gone were my warts and that lonely grey strand. I was alone again when I boarded my plane. I didn't have the foie gras, but I had the champagne. I went straight to the beach when I arrived in the States. Where is he? He's over there, said one of his mates. I took him by surprise as I knocked him out of his chair. Oh my God, he didn't have any hair. His toupee was retrieved. It was a horrible thing. He then screamed out loudly. He stood on the ring. This bully was off in a flash. He didn't want to linger. It was then that Kim cooed and thrust out her finger. I laughed in her face as I was joined by this blonde who started stroking my pecs. I'm not telling any of you what happened next. Thank you.